And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock. It is Tuesday, May 28th, Game 4, Timberwolves, Dallas Mavericks. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, because I'm Josh Engleman, that is Eric Lindquist, and we are brought to you by Better. And this will be a fun show because we are all going to heap dirt on the corpse of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, stop. Not right off the bat, please. Dude.
Hey, I'm not the one losing every time. Well, I am, but different losses. DFS losses every time. Shout out Miles Turner.
Miles Turner, just a dumb. At least
What's
we're done with them.
We're going to be done with this one, too.
Yeah, yesterday, I felt okay about my lineups looking at it after the fact, but still got steamrolled to the most part. Obviously, you needed to have either Nembhard or McConnell. And pretty much exactly what I said. Pascal Siakam ended up under-owned relative to our ownership. He ended up around 10% at everything at the captain. And we got Nembhard around 18%, so why wouldn't Nembhard nuke once again? Apparently is the best jump shooter on planet Earth, and I just learned about that yesterday.
Can't dribble when it matters, though. He's going to get that shit swiped.
Yeah, it helps to have Drew Holiday on a basketball team. It's almost like that was a good trade for them.
Yeah, you would think. Bill Simmons talked about it on his pod with Russillo. Sliding doors moment. If Giannis doesn't get hurt last year and the Bucks just beat the Heat, I wonder if they ever make the Dame trade. And that would be a very interesting, dynamic of what Boston looks like. Do they still have Marcus Smart? How does everything change? But that's neither here nor there. DD, absolutely not. The Gafford trade is a terrible trade. I will stand by that one. PJ Washington ended up better. We have to remember they traded future assets. We don't just get to absolve them because these guys played decently for a couple weeks. PJ Washington has looked a lot better. All credit to him. He has been better. Did he shoot 32% from three for Dallas for all of the regular season and the playoffs? Sure did. We'll leave that, though. But Gafford, I would never trade a first-round pick for Daniel Gafford. They found out immediately that he's the backup center on the team. That's not why you trade first-round picks. Anyway, want to talk about this?
But they got to the finals, Josh.
Yeah. Look, that's great. Yeah. Nothing matters if you hang the banner. It really doesn't.
Right.
But when you
anything short of it does.
When you don't, and you don't have the ability to make moves in the next couple of years because you traded future first for Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington, it'll matter. Washington's young. That's interesting. But Daniel Gafford is officially a backup center. Good luck. Captains. Luka Doncic is 25% owned. Anthony Edwards is about 15. Kyrie Irving's about 15. Who is your preferred captain for today?
Oh, God. So my preferred one for single entry is the same one as yours, and I'm going to save that one for the people. I still just find it hard to get away from Luka. Luka is my preferred captain. It sucks. Once again, I want to try to avoid some duplication. I have a couple of paths. I'm way overweight to Kyle Anderson. I do think there's a way that he gets up to 20-ish minutes here. I don't think Rudy Gobert is somebody who is live to get benched. I think that's kind of ridiculous based on all of the peripherals there. But Karl Anthony Towns with a 30% true shooting is very live to get benched if the ball is not going down, because we just saw it. So I do have a part of me that thinks we should be getting to a little bit more Cat in the captain as a result. That's the same way I felt about game 3, and it just went horribly wrong. But looking at everything right now, I still find Luka Doncic, 26.8% of the captain, hard to get away from.
I have 5% of Luka Doncic at the captain spot. I'm also light on Anthony Edwards. The only guy that I'm neutral to that's pulling that ownership is Kyrie Irving. 15% projected, 15% for me. Now, I am well over the field on Kyrie Irving at the utility spot. I'm neutral on Luka Doncic. I am miles over the field on Anthony Edwards at the utility spot.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is leading me to pay down at captain today. Whether that's PJ Washington, who I am shitting all over verbally to start the show and in chat. He is my most exposed captain. Derek Jones Jr. at 2% owned is my sneak captain.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little bit of Towns, who I think is in like a little bit of a different salary tier. But it's really PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. carrying a lot of my weight.
If Kyle Anderson is 1.4% owned in the captain, I will eat my hat. I have a feeling he's going to be more popular. Don't you? Or am I crazy?
I don't know. That feels about right.
Really? Because then I'm going to play Kyle Anderson. He's the guy that I have the third most of in the captain. I have
Okay.
I'm over the field on Luka, so I'm doing it a little bit differently than you. It would appear Luka. I'm not really there on Ant in the captain. I'm with you where I'm going to play a ton of him in the utility, and then Kyrie. I'm a little bit under on, but I have him at least as opposed to Ant.
Yeah.
For me, I just love getting to the Kyle Anderson piece. I think there's ways that the minutes actually go from what 17-ish, 18-ish to the 20-ish because he's been good. He's shot the ball well in this series. I know he's not asked to do as much, and the looks are a little bit different as opposed to Karl Anthony Towns, who gets keyed in on to some extent. But like Kyle Anderson fits the mold of this series. We've played well at times. We just have been so bad in the last 3-4 minutes of these games. It just hurts my heart. But Kyle Anderson at 3K, he makes everything work. Same rule applies, though, kind of yesterday, where you look at the extreme cheapies and, yeah, you're playing Luka, Kyrie, and you're doing a lot of the same stuff as everybody else, and you still have to find that point of differentiation. But Sims Tool is very, very helpful with that for me. I like the Kyle Anderson piece down there, but yeah, PJ Washington, after you just shit on him, how much do you have there in the captain spot? Because he's somebody that I'm overweight to as well.
25%.
Oh, hello. I have 16, so
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's four of, yeah, that's a number of my lineups still.
You talked me into giving Kyle Anderson an extra minute, so I'm anxious to see how that ends up playing out. I'm gonna rerun
So there's
everything
a little
right
bit
now.
of coach speak. There's whispering. My mom always likes to call me and talk about the Star Tribune and what they're saying and writing about,
Yeah, I
Karl
get that
Anthony
same
Towns.
call.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're funny. You're a funny guy. But anyway, we've got an opportunity where Kyle Anderson has played himself into potential minutes because he's just been good throughout this series. Every series is different, but he fits the fabric of it. And with Maxi Kleber out there too, I'm curious what we're going to have on the floor with his minutes and when they're going to utilize him. I doubt they utilize him next to Gafford. Do you feel that way as well?
I'd be surprised if it happens in the first half. If
Okay.
it's working for Maxi out there, then I would be surprised if you see it in the second half. I'd be very surprised if you saw it in the first half.
Okay. Yep, I'm with you. I mean, I have Maxi for 9 minutes. It's not like I'm going nuts with it, but it's more of how many do you have Kleber in for?
Much more than that.
Wow.
I have
Okay.
16.
It's a shoulder issue. It's not a lower body injury. Man, let me rerun some stuff then. I'm a little bit lighter on the Maxi minutes than I think most are, but again, maybe that's something that works out well where you see Kyle Anderson and Maxi Kleber on the floor together quite a bit. I mean, stylistically, I'm not saying, I mean, slow-mo is slow-mo, plays at a different pace, does his own thing. Maxi Kleber, he's going to sit in the corner, not be involved from a fantasy point per minute perspective. But if I play him at 15, 16 minutes, that is very different because right now I'm still giving Powell minutes. I'm still going towards like that 10-ish for Jaden Hardy. You think Powell falls out of the rotation here?
I think you probably see him for like I mean, it's kind of tied to like how good or bad Gafford is running. I think the expectation is probably like Powell sees 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. So, I mean, that's what I have flip-flopped right now is I have Powell in for more minutes than Kleber, and you have him for like 3 or 4. And so I'm just going to strip those away, and I'm going to put those towards Kleber and put him at like 14 and see what I get there. But Kyle Anderson is going to fit a game where Daniel Gafford isn't on the floor as much, so I'd kind of be cheering for that to some extent. But I like Gafford like everybody else does in the utility today. I don't know how you don't play him at 6,600.
I'm under the field.
Oh, great. I'm very excited to see. I've been under the field at Daniel Gafford, and he finds his way into every freaking optimal lineup. So I just can't with this dude.
We'll touch on that in a second. Any other captains that you want to hitch your wagon to? Like I mentioned, I have a bunch of Derek Jones Jr. right now at the captain spot. Just another one of those guys where there's not a lot of ownership. It frees up so much salary that I could pay up a little bit more. If this game is competitive late in the fourth, you tend to want to pay up a little bit more to some of these guys because you can you're likely to see those full 40+ minute games out of Luka, Kyrie, Towns, Edwards. If those guys can all be good, then I'm very happy to have a cheaper guy in the captain spot. And Derrick Jones Jr., especially now with Derek Lively out, barring foul trouble or just the worst play in the history of the world, like at a minimum, he's playing around 32 minutes, and they could throw more at him if they need to.
Yeah, shout out to Rinpack. I'm not going to just take his take and then just use it as my own, so I'm going to give him a shout out for it. It was my thinking where Daniel Gafford, this lob scheme that they have going, it's obviously working on the offensive end. It's been effective for them. I think having him and Powell out on the floor, that was kind of for me, giving Powell still more minutes than Kleba. I think it's just the uncomfortability, although like I do think they're better off having Kleba play over Powell. I don't know if Kleba necessarily can. And then you might want to just keep the scheme the same that it's been. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And through 3 games, my Timberwolves have had very, very obvious problems with this, partially because of how good Lively is. So, the guy leads the team in net rating. I don't want to necessarily throw that out there, but, working through it. So from a captain perspective, though, just to round out that conversation and move along, it's only a 30-minute show. I still like Kyle Anderson. He's going to be my 3rd highest owned captain. So I guess he's my Derrick Jones Jr. of what you have going on there. Are you playing any cat and captain? That's the last talking point I wanted.
Yeah, I have 10%.
Okay. I think that's what you should be doing. Like, I like cat more as a captain play than a utility play. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, at some point in time, you would expect the shots to just start to fall, which would be incredibly helpful.
Yeah. I want to just stab everything as a Timberwolves fan watching this. I mean, looking at this shit is just so tilting. He leads us 27.1% usage in this series. The man legitimately has a 30.6% effective field goal percentage. That is so unbelievably bad. We're averaging like 93 per 48 with him on the floor. Are you joking me right now?
Yeah, that doesn't seem very good. By the way, did you see my tweet about Lively and Gafford?
No. I didn't.
Okay, so they've both played essentially 320 minutes so far in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive rating for Dallas when Lively has been on, 122. The offensive rating when Gafford has been on, 110. So 12-point difference. A little bit of hot shooting on the Lively side, but nothing too crazy. On the defensive side, 106 points per 100 possessions given up when Lively is on, 116 when Gafford is on, 10 points worse. It's been 12 points better for Lively on offense. Gafford has been 10 points worse on defense. It's kind of the reason we're just going to lead into it now. I don't want to say that that's the reason that I'm light on Gafford, because I have no idea what's ever coming out of my sim. I could have just as easily been over. But after I dug into it, I got nervous about his minutes. And when I was trying to go through all of my rates, I reprojected everything. I gave it my best minutes shot. His usage, at the very least, has been up in the playoffs. Even if you project it at his normal usage rate, I was coming in north on his points projection and way low on his rebounding projection. Like his player props, I can't figure it out. It feels like the market just doesn't really know what to do with his playing time because of how bad those numbers are. I'm wondering what happens if it's just not going well for Daniel Gafford, what they try to do to change up their entire defensive scheme. Because if he's not playing well, I don't think they're just going to keep running him out there because he's the only center left. And that's the part that's just sort of scaring me. Could he go out there and play 32 minutes, protect the rim really well, the rim running's working and all of that moves forward? Yeah, of course. Like that is in play. I'm dubious of Daniel Gafford today because of how bad he's been in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's not good. He has these blocks that people highlight and show, and has he been okay at the rim at times? Sure. Has he had the highlight reel stuff? Yeah, he had an ant dunk in his face, I suppose, too. But I'm with you where Daniel Gafford is not necessarily somebody that needs to be playing the 30 minutes in this spot. I'm dubious that they'll do anything different about it, though. It would have to take a really bad performance to get Daniel Gafford ripped off the floor for Dwight Powell, or, it would just have to have Maxi Kleber be much healthier and just ready to rock to 20 minutes right away. I had him in for 9 minutes coming into this show. I'm much lower on him than I think you are, and I don't know how Kleber just fits into the schemes of everything that they've been doing. I think Dwight Powell fits into it more, where they can get away with some minutes here and there for him. PJ Washington at the 5, is that even live? Josh
It has
Green
to
just
be at least
absorbing
it
more
has
of
to
it?
be a little live. I don't think they want to do it because of how bad PJ Washington is defending at the 5, but they might not have a choice. And that might be better than Dwight Powell.
Put Luka on Gobert and maybe just go that way.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the way that they go, where for all intents and purposes, Luka plays the 5, because we saw it twice in this series where very vivid memories of Rudy Gobert trying to post up Luka that did not go well. One where he stripped it and one where he blocked it, and it was just like, what are we doing here, dude? Rudy Gobert can't make a post move on Luka. That's pretty annoying.
Folks, hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. We've got 1,100 plus people in the door, only 100 likes. That is incredibly embarrassing. You guys should want that to get up to 200. Now, I got to hit on a super chat. We should be super chatting Sean Jeezy because he wins every single night. If you're following along on Twitter, he hit us with the super chat and said, Naz Reid or Slow-Mo, captain in high dollar single entry, if you had to choose between the two. I like lineups with both, but curious what you guys think, or open to others in that range. So I just finished my refresh after I gave Kyle Anderson that extra minute. So I'm going to refresh that now, see how that changed for me.
Okay. Running it now with the
I like it.
Minutes.
So as I look at it, let me take a look and see where my highest ranked lineups are. So Naz Reid and Slow-Mo. 10 minutes to go, by the way. I don't have much Naz Reid or Slow-Mo captain lineups sorting to the top for me. In fact, I basically don't have them. So I guess I'm going to advocate against it. My personal thoughts on captains would not be Naz Reid, and it would not be Slow-Mo. It would be Derek Jones Jr. instead of Naz Reid, or I mean, PJ Washington's going to be a lot more expensive than Naz Reid at that point, but that's the direction that I would be going.
Kyle Anderson. Sorry, I didn't hear which one you
went with. Yeah, I mean, if you want to pay down.
Yeah, I like the Kyle Anderson captain more than Naz Reid. I think Naz Reid, we've seen, I'm just going back to my buzzword apparently for these shows, artificial ownership, just stuff that comes from the hemisphere. People like to click on Naz Reid. Naz Reid's been a little bit more popular on every single slate. He's been awesome in this series. He's been much better than Cat. He's got a 70% true shooting or some shit. It's just absurd. Going through some of his numbers when he's been on the floor for us. Let me find the exact number for it, because it's fun. It's fun to list stuff off. 119.5 defensive rating. That isn't great, but 115 offensive rating. He's been our best offensive player besides Kyle Anderson in this series. That's dumb to say out loud. But Naz Reid, 20.4% usage. He's knocking down shots. He's been effective. 73.4% effective field goal percentage is dumb for a 3-point shooting center.
All right. I think I have my exposures to the point where I like them. Are you taking any interesting utility stands? I'm a bit more extreme today than I was looking at yesterday.
I was more extreme yesterday trying to force it to get different. And you know how that went well? It didn't go well. I'm finishing up a rerun here where I took 6 minutes. I basically took Kleba. I took him from 9, put him to 15. I just want to see what this looks like. And I'll take like my top from each side of it and kind of sort it that way. I think that'll be fun for me. Let's start this. Here we go. Anthony Edwards in 76% of my utility. That's interesting.
I've got 60 plus, so we're in the same boat there. Similar story for Kyrie. I have 60 of Kyrie, 60 of Anthony Edwards, and they're both around 40. So big stands for me there. I've got a pretty big stat on Jaden McDaniels at the utility spot. Pretty big fade of Mike Conley at the utility spot. And because I have so much Derek Jones Jr. captain, I do not have nearly as much Derek Jones Jr. at utility. So I either need him to be awful or as awesome as it gets. The middle ground game for him is not going to be helpful.
No, I am with you.
Okay, I got to do this. Josh Gillum, you just said it, but I've been arguing with K Powers and everybody else. If you think Rudy Gobert is bad, you're dumb. There's no other way to say it. To say that Rudy Gobert can't guard on the perimeter is also incredibly untrue. He was one of the 5 best defenders on a switch this year. When he gets pulled out and they switch him on and they run a switch, Rudy Gobert holds up just as well as everybody else in the league, if not better. You can go read that data, or you can just choose to say that that is not the case, but it exists. You can go to NBA.com and look at it. Do that.
Make new friends and keep the... Lordy. I got a little bit of Ant Captain this time around, which is interesting. I don't know why that happens when I give Kleba more minutes. Maybe I have access to get to some Ant in my top 40, but just wanted to throw that one out there. That was pretty interesting. Still getting to quite a bit. Kyrie Captain. All right, I'm happy with that. 16%, more than okay with that. Nas Reed, I'm light on in Captain. One lineup of him there. Finishing all this. And somebody asked me about Kleba Captain. I don't completely hate it. Just throwing it out there.
I assume I didn't even generate a lineup that looks good with him at Captain. He's just such a poor performer.
If he is way healthier than we think, though, is there a world where he plays 20 minutes today?
Yeah, maybe. What you need, at that point, you need 3 of Luka, Towns, Kyrie, and Anthony Edwards to be incredible. By the way, my highest ranked Maxi lineup is 393rd. That's Maxi Captain, Nas Reed, Conley, Edwards, Towns, Doncic.
I mean, I'm not going to play Maxi Kleba in the Captain in 40 lineups. Don't get me wrong. But I was just saying that, like, if you're making out lineups and you're going to make something by hand, like just thinking through the process of it, like in the olden days where you're building out to get different, I don't completely hate it, but I prefer Kyle Anderson exponentially in the Captain for sure.
And thanks to giving him that extra minute, I am now neutral to Kyle Anderson in the utility spot. Light on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. What are you getting from Maxi Kleba? Because I have 25% in the utility right now.
16% in the utility. So I had 0.
By the way, we have
what it's worth.
4.5 minutes.
What the fudge? Okay.
Yeah, dude.
How did that happen? Okay. Well, I should probably upload some lineups then, huh?
Probably, right? That should be...
I have one dummy batch in, but it has 0 Maxi Kleba at the moment. So let's do this, and let's paste this in, and then let's party, P-A-R-T. Why? Because I gotta.
All right, I'm pasting my lineups in right now. Chat, any questions? Hit us with it. Antoine Wake hit us with the super chat, and it's just handshakes. I love it. 3-year member message, I think?
Yeah.
Love to see it. You love to see it. All right, my lineups are in. I'm feeling good.
Mine are not. Let me get them in.
Well, you take your time. My most exposed player is Kyrie Irving today. He is in 75% of my lineups. Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic are both in 60%. And PJ Washington is just shy of 60%. Karl Anthony Towns is in 50%. Those 5 guys are in at least 50% of all of my stuff. They make up 300 of my 600% exposure. So half of my exposure goes to Luka, Kyrie, PJ Washington, Ant, and Cat. I will take that all day.
Yep, let's party. I feel good about these, actually. And I feel so much better about this showdown slate than I did yesterday. Like, there's a lot of paths to getting different today and making, like, calculated decisions where I think people are just wrong. How much Nickeil Alexander-Walker did you end up playing?
10%.
I have 1 share of him. So I think if I'm playing a lot of Kyle Anderson, I think the main guy, like Nickeil Alexander-Walker's still been good when on the floor, despite like a 30% true shooting for him as well. He's been just as bad shooting a rock. I like Josh Green a little bit more, who's just beneath him. So it saves a little bit of that salary for people who are clicking that. And I strongly prefer Kyle Anderson.
Trying to see if we have anything else in chat right here. 2.5 minutes, guys. Get that stuff in. Also, it goes without saying, Better is the sponsor. You should sign up at Better. Double your first deposit up to $500 as long as you click the link that's in the description of this video. Standard issue pick'em up to 100x your entry if you select 8 correct picks. You could use OddsShopper, oddshopper.com. We will give you the plays. You get expected value and expected win rate. If you sign up for OddsShopper, you can use the Better Optimizer to just build out your card immediately for you. Now, the legal age for gambling in most states is 21 or over. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, we're going to be on playback in a minute and a half exclusively. We have 50 VIP passes to give out so you guys can come watch the game along with us. We could all point and laugh at Eric and say, haha, your team is going to lose in game 4. So if you want to do that, come join us on playback immediately after this show ends. Anything else you want to add before we head on over to playback?
Go Timberwolves.
Who's your biggest fade?
Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I have 1 in 42 lineups. And let's see what else we got here. I have, just sorting it here, next to our ownership. I have 30% Gafford. That's not really a fade. 10% Josh Green. That's light, actually. Whatever. I can't do anything about it here at this point in time. It is what it is. I am fading Karl-Anthony Towns in the utility in a very, very, very real way. 5%.
Kayla with the super chat. Are you getting any Jaden Hardy? I don't have any.
Do I have any Hardy? I have 16% in the utilities. So yeah, I've got a hefty, decent amount.
I have 27% of Josh Green.
That's just fine.
And here we are with 15 seconds left in the show.
All right.
If your lineups aren't in right now, you're probably making a gigantic mistake. Go click that upload button right now, because in 9 seconds, you don't get an opportunity to do it again. We're off to playback. Playback.tv/stochastic. That's the fastest 30 minutes in basketball, folks. But now we're hanging out for at least an hour watching the first half. Come join us. Thanks, Better. Talk to you later.